Good evening, everyone. My name is Christina McGowan, and I am the Dean of the Domena Nicilius Library. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for a virtual tour of the Fairfield University archives. We are so very pleased to see so much interest in the archives. One important component of the Domena Nicilius Library's mission is to preserve Fairfield University's history and incorporate the many voices and stories that contribute to the development of our identity as an institution. We will begin the evening with a bit of Fairfield University trivia. Jen Modelis, research and outreach librarian at the Domena Nicilius Library, will facilitate this part of the program.
Okay, let's share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen there? Great. So yeah, we thought we'd start things off with a little Fairfield University trivia. Here at the library, every year we host a trivia night for faculty and staff, and we find it's a great way to bring people together, build community, and we always include a little bit of university history, a university history category, and everybody loves it. So we're hoping that you will love it too. I'm going to put up just a couple questions. We got a lot of people, so logistically it'd be kind of complicated to have people call out answers. So you can just sort of think of the answer to yourself, and how you do will sort of be your own source of pride. So we'll begin here with our history first question. Okay, first question. The Fairfield Mirror is Fairfield University's independent student newspaper. It strives to be the primary and most extensive source of newsworthy content for Fairfield student body and campus community. When did the Fairfield Mirror begin publication? Was it October 1942, January 1987, September 1977, or May 1970? So take a second to think about that one. The answer is September 1977. It was first published on September 22nd in 1977, and it is still the student newspaper on campus. And they also now have an online digital component. So you can get it both in print and online. Let's see. There are several other student newspapers that have been here on campus. The Tentative in 1947, they called it the Tentative because they weren't sure what they wanted to call it. The Fulcrum, 1948 to 49. The Stag, which went 1949 to 1970, followed by the University Voice, 1970 to 1977. Then the Mirror, 1977 to present. There's also now the Rear View, which includes the Mirror, but also includes more other media formats such as podcasts, videos, and things like that. So constantly changing and growing here on campus. Our next question, started in 1947, the Glee Club is the oldest club at Fairfield. Who was the first musical director of the Glee Club? So I'll give you a second to think about that one. Simon Herrick was the first musical director of Fairfield University Glee Club. He held this position until he passed away in 1970.
Actually, I muted myself.
And you can see here, there's a picture of Simon Herrick, and then he was on the cover of the University Voice when he passed away in 1970. The current director of the Fairfield Glee Club is Dr. Michael Ciavaglia. He's the current conductor of the Fairfield University Glee Club. And the Glee Club not only does their Glee Club concerts, but they also perform every year at our campus tree lighting. Our next question is, we get into sports. In what year did the women's basketball team play their first varsity game? Was it A, 1979, B, 1974, C, 1971, or D, 1982? So the answer is B, 1974. Their first basketball game was against Connecticut College. They scored a victory in that game with a 46-38 was the score. In 1974, under the direction and coaching of Gary Dietrich, class of 74, the women's basketball went from club play to Division III, and they had a 16-0 season. So included there is a picture of a member of that team from the Manor 1975. So our final trivia question, we get a little bit into the Halloween mood here. This is a little bit more of this perhaps supernatural. Loud banging noises, wild temperature fluctuations, and sounds of furniture being dragged across the floor are all unexplained phenomena linked to the rumored haunting of this Fairfield building. Is it A, Dolan Hall, B, Bellarmine Hall, C, Loyola Hall, or D, Berkman's Hall? The answer is A, Dolan Hall. Dolan Hall, when women students were first admitted in 1970, many lived in this building in rooms that the university rented from the Notre Dame Sisters de Namur, who owned the building. Their sisters had named the convent where they lived Julie Hall after their founder, St. Julie, I think it's Billiart. The university bought this property from the sisters in 1989, and some of the students who live in this building now claim the building is haunted by a ghost named Julie. So that concludes the trivia warm-up. Many of the images that I used in this part of the program are from our online digital collections that you're going to hear about tonight. We have many materials available online for you to peruse and relive your glory days, but we also love sharing these images with students, whether they're researching university history or trends in higher education. Both our archivist, Elise, and all of our research librarians love being able to share these resources with our students. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to Christina for the next part of our program.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jen. Appreciate it. So I have the pleasure tonight of introducing Elise Bochinski. Elise has served as University Archivist and Special Collections Librarian at the Domena Nicilius Library since 2003. During this time, she helped establish the archives and continues to lead efforts documenting the stories of the Fairfield community and making its history more widely accessible through digital collections. Elise earned her BA in anthropology cum laude from New York University and her MLS from Southern Connecticut State University. Before her career in archives, Elise studied acting at RADA in London and at the National Shakespeare Conservatory in New York City. A certified archivist, Elise has been a member of the American Library Association, the Association of College and Research Libraries, the New England Archivists, and the Society of American Archivists. In 2024, Elise published her first book, Success on the Sound, A History of Fairfield University, co-written with Professor Emeritus Paul Lakeland and Professor Emeritus Kurt Schlichting, and published by St. Joseph's University Press. I again thank you so much for joining us this evening, and I turn it over to Elise.
Okay, well, thank you, Christina, for that introduction. Can you all hear me okay? We're good? Oh, fabulous. Okay. Let me start, if I can, by sharing my screen. That would be smart. Okay. Hold on. Okay, can everybody see that too? Terrific. All right. Well, as Christina mentioned, I've been the archivist here since 2003, and I can't believe it's been that long. But during that time, the archives has grown tremendously. And as you heard, our mission is to preserve the records of enduring value that document Fairfield University's history, its campus life, student activities, and of course, the origin and development of the university's mission and programs. Let's see if I can get this to work. There we go. We're located on the lower level of the Domena Nicilius Library, which is pictured here in the lower left. And as a kind of surrogate virtual tour, there are a few images of the spaces where we work, basically rows of shelves and boxes that hold decades of university history. But rather than take you through all rooms full of boxes, I'm going to cherry pick a few interesting items from our physical collections and talk a little bit about what they reveal about life at the university. That'll be the first part. And the second part, I'm going to take you on a brief tour of our digital collections, which are available online anytime for you to explore. And finally, we'll wrap up with a Q&A session. And I know there's quite a few of you joining us tonight, so we'll do our best to get as many questions in as possible. Okay, so what do we collect? Well, the University Archives preserves materials that document Fairfield's history, mission, community life. So this would include university records. That's things like meeting minutes, agendas, course catalogs, materials related to the curriculum. We also collect photographs and visual media. So that would be prints, negative slides, and digital images, of course, along with video. We also collect, of course, the student newspaper, other campus publications, and ephemera refers to posters, flyers, pamphlets that illustrate the everyday life and spirit of Fairfield. Oral histories. Now, we've recorded a number of oral history interviews. That's where people share personal stories and perspectives. These have resulted in some of our richest and most engaging sources of information. And finally, I will mention that we do have a special collections department. We have some rare books. It's a modest but meaningful collection. That includes treasures like a facsimile of the Gutenberg Bible, a facsimile of the Book of Kells. And these are frequently used in classes and exhibitions. But most importantly is the why of what we do. So we do this work to support research, to support teaching. Our collections relate to Jesuit history, Connecticut regional history, the history of higher education, and of course, the history of Fairfield University. But most importantly, the archives helps preserve the university's institutional memory and identity. What we try to do is to maintain a continuous physical and digital record of who we are, how we've changed, how we've responded to cultural and technological shifts, and what makes Fairfield distinctive. And that's to ensure that future generations can understand and appreciate the university's legacy. So let's talk a little bit about that legacy with the early days by picking a few items from our image collections. I've got 2 photographs here and a postcard. And the photograph on the left shows Fairfield's very first faculty in 1947. You'll notice there are 4 lay professors, and the rest are Jesuits. The images on the right are 2 of the great estates that became central to the university's founding. The top one is Hearthstone Hall, now Bellarmine Hall. This photo was taken in 1942. And below is an early postcard of what is now McAuliffe Hall. At the time, it was called Mail-Ins and was owned by the Jennings family. This postcard was dated around 1919, and you'll notice it has a different facade than when the Jesuits bought it, or even now. This was its very early first facade. They changed it a little bit later on. The Jesuits purchased these estates and used it in 1942 to found the university. Now, originally in 1942, we were an all-boys commuter prep school. So prep was sort of the first school that opened. And by 1947, the university opened its doors. So it's nice to know that these early photographs kind of represent the story of Fairfield's beginnings, a small Catholic prep school and college in the woods of Connecticut that has grown into what we like to think of as the thriving doctoral and professional university that we know today. Okay, the next item I want to share with you from our collection has to do with Fairfield's earliest days. It's one of our most valuable sources of what things were like back in the day is the rector's memorandum book also called the Minister's Diary. This particular volume covers the years 1942 to 1954, and it was kept by the Jesuit rector or by whoever he appointed to record the daily events of the university on his behalf. These pages document everything from schedules to staffing, the most practical matters, who was hired to cook, what furniture was purchased, and when you read through it, you do get a vivid sense of how small and hands-on the community was. Let's take a little closer look. So here's a close-up of a very important date in our university's history. This entry is for Monday, September 22nd. For those of you who haven't read cursive in a while, heavy rains today. School opens. This is the first day of school for Fairfield University. Registration of first-year class. Father Rector said Mass of Holy Ghost for them at 9:30. Father Joseph A. Murphy arrived. Father Joseph Madden arrived. Much heavy moving, etc., of furniture in school by many generous fathers and scholastics. And the final note there is the old Mercury car came back from overhauling and repairs. Well, you see that the Jesuits were not just administrators, or if they were the kind that managed the details, building the university from the ground up. It's a very down-to-earth sort of snapshot of that time. I don't know, it just captures how modest things were in those days and how deeply involved the Jesuits were in every aspect of Fairfield's founding. And I couldn't resist. I had to look up what the old Mercury car might have looked like. So I added a photo of a 1947 Ford Mercury. I'm not sure what the color of their car was, but it's just to help you picture what it might have been like at the time. Okay. So moving on to some other items in our collection. These items are reflective of Fairfield's identity and school spirit. So in the upper left, you're going to see a class ring from 1952, beautifully engraved. It's very lovely. In the lower right-hand corner is a varsity jacket from the 1960s. In the center, a ceramic stein bearing an early version of the Fairfield seal. And I want to pause and take a little bit time with the seal and explain a little bit. I think the seal, especially the first one, it tells us a great deal about what was important to the Fairfield community at that time. So if you'll notice, I'll go to the one in the lower left. In the center, there are pine cones, which are taken from the coat of arms of St. Robert Bellarmine, the Jesuit priest and Catholic saint. And then superimposed on that is the badge of the Society of Jesus, the letter IHS, surmounted by a cross. The three compartments above are all important and meaningful. The center is of a hart crossing a river, a hart meaning deer, and it comes from the coat of arms of the Diocese of Hartford. The diocese Bishop Morris F. McAuliffe, which should sound familiar to you, was instrumental in Fairfield's founding, and in recognition of his role, Maylands was originally the Jennings family estate and is now McAuliffe Hall, named in his honor. The two clusters of grapes on either side are a reference to the seal of the state of Connecticut. And our motto, per fidem ad plenum veritatem, through faith to the fullness of truth, expresses the Jesuit ideal at the heart of Fairfield's mission. Also, as an aside, I think some of you might have recognized that the comparison of these two seals compared to the one up in the upper right is a little bit different. This is a picture from the 1950s of the floor of Alumni Hall, the mosaic that was there. And we were called at the time Fairfield University of St. Robert Bellarmine. Now, we no longer include St. Robert Bellarmine in our name, but St. Robert Bellarmine remains our patron saint to this day. And you'll be happy to know that this mosaic was moved from the gymnasium floor of Alumni Hall to the lobby floor of the new Leo D. Mahoney Arena, which stands where Alumni Hall used to stand. And it's a kind of a nice bit of continuity, a wonderful example of how Fairfield's traditions continue to carry forward into the present. Now, no conversation about school spirit would be complete without mentioning our mascot, the stag, so we will go there next. Okay, so back in the day, the university teams were mainly known, the Fairfielders were known as the Men in Red, When it came time to choose an official mascot, students submitted possibilities, one of which was the Chanticleers. But the vote went a completely different way, and we became the Stags, a name that has stuck and served the university well ever since. So this slide is meant to show the many faces of our mascot, Lucas the Stag. He was christened in 2009, around 2009, in tribute to William J. Lucas, the longtime head of finance and devoted supporter of Fairfield and the Stags. And just a little bit, you can see 1966, 88. This is Lucas in front of the new arena, the new Lucas. 2011 Lucas, I like to call it baby Lucas. He's actually being arrested by DPS here. This was a part of a fundraising event known as Jail and Bail, where you would get arrested and then your friends had to bail you out. And this is Lucas doing his part. And the center slide, this is actually a mascot costume that lived for a long time in the Spirit Shop in Barone Campus Center, and then eventually came to live with us in the archives. This is our archives processing room, and I like to think that Lucas is guarding our collections. Okay, so a few more fun artifacts that capture everyday student life. Shout out to Jim Fitzpatrick for the Stagger Inn signs. The Stagger Inn was the first bar on campus, and we also have Glee Club albums, Friends of Fairfield Rugby signed football. The point of this is mainly just to remind us and to remind everyone that in addition to the academics, the university strives to create a full experience for the students. So it's not only about the classes, it's also about activities, friendships, other interests that students explore. And many of those artifacts find their way into our archives that are a reflection of that other campus story. So with that spirit in mind, I'd like to shift gears now and take a quick look at our digital collections, where you can explore many of these materials on your own, in your own time. So, okay, can everybody see that screen? Fantastic, good. All right. So this is our homepage for archives and special collections. You can find it on the library website. It's kind of a command central for everything archival. You'll find our mission statement, information about our collections, policies, how to access the archives. We usually work by appointment or by email. But tonight, I want to focus mainly on the digital collections. So all of our digital materials that we've made available live in Digital Commons at Fairfield, which is our institutional repository. We're always adding more. It's a slow but steady process. Some of what you'll find here include the Fairfield magazines, the student newspapers, the yearbooks, including some of the prep yearbooks as well, course catalogs, etc. And we're always adding more things. The most recent addition is the University Voice to our collections. But I think I'm going to do a quick search just to give you a sense of how this works. We'll start with the Fairfield Mirror. And I thought, since we get a lot of questions about campus life, sports bands, visiting speakers, we try something fun. If you're a Billy Joel fan, which I am, you might know that he was at Fairfield as our commencement speaker in 1991. So I'm going to do a search for Billy Joel. And over here on the left, I'm going to refine by date and click download, which should just open it up as a PDF. And okay. So we see the front page of the Mirror announcing Billy Joel will be our commencement speaker. Let's see what else was going on in 1991. Orman named Teacher of the Year. Student Fairfield celebrates 50th birthday. And oh, here's a fun one. I like this one. So I guess Dana Carvey and Mike Myers were appearing at Alumni Hall on Saturday, wearing, unfortunately, not university sweatshirts, but at least Fairfield prep sweatshirts. So that's kind of fun. Let's see. Let's go back to our digital collections. And this time we'll take a quick visit to the Manor yearbooks. You can see we have digitized a whole bunch of Manor yearbooks all the way up until 2022. I'm going to mosey on down to 1991. Okay. And click read online. Is that showing up for everybody? Oh, good. Okay. So I enjoy looking through the yearbooks. So do the students. I must say they enjoy the photographs, the hairstyles, and all sorts of info. This particular Manor yearbook was dedicated to Diane Nolan, the much loved and longtime women's basketball coach. But since we're on a mission here, let's go to the search page, look for Billy Joel, and click on here. Okay, so towards the end of the yearbook, it looks like they have actually taken photographs in nice color from the commencement from 1991. And yep, and some information about that. So that just gives you, I hope, a small taste of what you can explore in our digital collections. And everything I showed you tonight is available anytime online, and we're adding new materials all the time, as I said. I think I'm going to take us back if I can. How do I get back to my PowerPoint? She says, let's try this. PowerPoint. Okay. Can you see that? Great, because this is all a way to get us back to the Q&A. I know we wanted to leave plenty of time for questions, so I'll stop here. I want to say it's been a real pleasure speaking to you tonight, and I'm going to hand things back over to Jen Modelise, who's going to moderate our Q&A.
Okay, so if you have questions, there is a Q&A feature through Zoom where you can type your questions in. There's a lot of people on the call, but if you have a question, you could try the raising of your hand feature. And I can try to pass the questions on to Elise. So does anybody have any questions to start us off? Yes, Robert.
Does the archive contain speeches of the commencement speakers over the years?
That's an excellent question. We do have some. What we do have pretty much are a number of videos and DVDs that go back pretty far, at least to the 80s, I think. Where
Well, not as far as me, but go ahead.
Well, no, it's a wonderful question because some of those speeches do come to us, but we would have to look in the commencement materials. We have several boxes of print commencement materials that go back all the way to the 1950s, which include, guest lists and things like that. But we just recently grabbed a whole bunch of material from our website. We've just recently also digitized the commencement brochures. So, I think you've caught us at an interesting moment where we're in between the print and digital world trying to capture all those things. I know we have some, to answer your question. I'm not sure we have them all, but between the videos and maybe some of the print materials, we might have a lot. Is there something you're looking for in particular?
The commencement speaker at my graduation was Ted Sorensen, who was this speechwriter for President Kennedy.
Oh, wow.
And I do recall it was a pretty amazing speech, as a matter of fact. So that's why I asked. But
no, that's a great.
In your travels, if you see it, I'll give you a ring.
I'll put it on my list because
thank you.
Sometimes we have to go dig, but you never know, we might find it. That would be a wonderful speech to find.
Thank you.
May I jump in here? To Robert's point, I graduated in 87, and I don't recall a video of my graduation, but my brother graduated in 88 and my sister in 89, and I do have videos, VHS, of their graduation ceremonies. So maybe it's from then on?
Well, for video, it would start in the 80s. I'm not sure how far back they go offhand. I'd have to look it up. That's the one thing about librarians you have to understand. We don't know everything, but we know where to look at. We know where to find information about everything.
I get it.
But unless somebody had an audio recording or somebody was actually filming it on film, the video probably started in the mid 80s. So I don't know if we have 87, but I would hope we do. I can check. I will, if we're recording this, so I can follow up on some of those things.
If you don't have 88 and 89, happy to supply.
It's good to know.
Great. Anyone else with a question?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes. Mhm.
Jim Gallagher, class of 70. My year, 1970, the school closed down due to a strike by the students, and there were no classes from sometime in April until graduation in May. And I'm wondering, that minute book that you showed before, I wonder if that still existed and what it says about that from 1970.
Okay, for the rector's memorandum book, no, those pretty much come to a halt in the 50s.
Okay.
But this is the 1970 yearbook is one of our most requested items for people to view. And it was something that my co-author Paul Lakeland devoted a lot of time, word space to in our book. People ask about the late 60s, early 70s, and a lot of the tumultuous, interesting events that went on. That's something that's a big part of our archives. And whoever was on the manor, and the students took a lot of photographs, which I am deeply grateful for. So we actually have a pretty good documentation on that. As far as the administration goes, we do have some. So I don't know. There's always many sides to a story. There are some official documents about the events that happened and the university's responses. I'd have to go digging, but we get so many questions about that time period. It's actually very exciting.
So that would be in the library section of the website then? What you do have? Is that where I would find that?
Yes, you can find it on our library homepage if you go to research guides, or you can just go directly. I think is it digital commons as well. There's more than one ways to reach it, but the library homepage is probably the best place, and then you can check out all the things that we had, all the newspapers, the yearbooks we do have. As far as administrative documents, those are still primarily in print. And also the faculty, we have some of their records as well. Those are still in print. But I would invite you to explore. There's a lot there. And if you can't find something, reach out and we'll do our best to help you.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, you were there, so you could probably tell me.
Those were tumultuous times. Right.
So I hear.
Elise, we have a question in the chat. Thomas is wondering, can we access all editions of the Mirror during the time frame indicated, 1977 to 2014?
Yes, unless we're missing any. I'll float it out there. Maybe I shouldn't, but I will. In 2006, there was an orientation issue that had some interesting comments in the she said, he said column, and we never actually got print copies. So if you know anybody who has it, pass it my way. But everything in print that we have for those years, we have digitized. There are always stragglers, even with the earlier newspapers. So I never say no to somebody donating some things because we are always looking to make sure that we are not missing any papers. Okay.
Okay. Another question from the chat. Amy is wondering if you digitize the materials in-house.
Well, that's a nice question. We spent a long time. When did I start? 2003. So by 2005, 2006, Joan Overfield was the director and dean, and she put a lot of energy and effort into digitizing the collections. There was a strong feeling that if it wasn't online, it didn't exist. We used to do a lot of in-house digitizing, as anybody who was my student worker at the time will remember. These days, we tend, now that Christina is the dean and we're still committed to digitization, we tend to send them out. There's a big appetite out there for people to digitize things and make them available for searching. So we try to do things in bulk. It's a little cheaper and it's more expedient, and we can get more material available to you faster. So that's what we do now.
Okay. Anyone else with a question?
Let's have one more. As far as getting into some of those archives, so we just simply go into, just for the steps involved, we just simply go into university website page and then on the library tab and then into, say, archives and then digital commons? Like, what are the steps to find those?
Yeah,
I'd
I
love
did
to go
that.
back
I
and
did
read
that a
those.
little quickly, but what I did show, there is a direct link to digital commons. I should just say that it is available. Actually, even if you just if you Google digital commons at Fairfield, it'll probably come up. The way I took you was through the library website, then to
Okay.
our research guides, to university archives, and from there, I took you to various collections that live on digital commons. So there's more than one, there's more than one access point to get there. But if you digital commons at Fairfield is the repository, and our collection is called University Archives and Special Collections, and there you'll see everything that we have available.
Great. Thank you. I'm definitely going to start playing around with that and exploring that.
Please do. That's why it's there.
For some reason, I can't post it in the chat, but it is there. I just checked. So please, somebody post it. It's great.
Cool.
Great. Another question we have, Elise, from Jim. Where can we find information on how the campus has grown and changed over the years?
Oh boy. Well, that's a lot. If you're talking about buildings, if you're talking about grown and those kinds of changes, we have some materials available up in our historical resources, written by Joseph McDonnell, a Jesuit who was here. He was a math teacher for many, many years, and he wrote a couple of books, If These Stones Could Speak, which talks about the growth of Fairfield campus, and I think another one called Why Are These Buildings Named After Dead Jesuits, which is another fun book. If you're talking about enrollment, the growth of the campus that way, or those sort of things, I would refer you to the fact books, which were produced by the Office of Management Information back in the day, and now it's our Office of Institutional Research. Those are also up on digital commons, and those you can chart the enrollment over time in many different ways. I guess the other way that we've grown is in terms of programs. And even though it's a little bit of a slog, I would send people, and I have gotten these questions, and the way we answer them is to go to the course catalogs and just look to see what programs and what degrees were offered when, and how things have just blossomed and grown from there. The campus is a small city now, from back in the days when the Jesuits were hacking through the woods trying to create a path from, one side of the campus to the other. And it's amazing how much we've grown.
Okay.
Do you have lists by the professors, what they published? Like, for instance, I had Father Lynch, who at the time, he made his own software on Shakespeare plays, and he was the first, and he ended up selling it somewhere. It was, it was early days of the computer. And do you have any lists of the various faculty members and books they published? And
Oh yeah, that's a big part of what we do. I'm glad you mentioned the faculty. I know it's all alums here, but of course we service the faculty as much as we can. We have recently established a scholarly communications librarian who's part of that and who works with digital commons a lot. We do have faculty CVs and bibliographies up on Digital Commons as well. Digital Commons is a platform. Our archival collections are part of that, but the other part of it is for faculty output. So that's where I would go for that information. And, we also have a faculty publication collection in the library. But I don't know how, if it's retroactive. There was a faculty bibliography of all the faculty outputs compiled in 1983. And I think all of that information has been ingested into digital commons, but I'm not sure. If you can't find what you're looking for, if it's old stuff, it's me. So go ahead and I will try to track it down for you.
yeah, you worked with Dr. Schlichting. I used to babysit his children while I was there. My mother was his secretary.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, well, I'll tell him hello from Karen then.
Say from Alberti. Kathy,
From Alberti?
Kathy was the secretary. Yeah.
Okay, terrific. Small world.
That's great. great tidbit. Elise, Amy is wondering if you could talk about your department, like how many people work in your department, how large it is, who does the work there?
Who does the work? Well, you could answer this too. Jen actually worked part-time in my department for about 13 years. We are small but mighty. I'm the only full-time position there, but over the years I have had student workers, interns, and lately I have 2 part-timers who support what we do. I also frankly rely on my librarian colleagues for tech support and for research support, and in this case, as you can see, outreach support as well. So we're hoping to grow the archives because it's becoming a big part of what we do. And nobody's saving our stuff or preserving our stuff but us. It makes us important. And I think archives are more important in a cumulative way. Over time, they become important. Our users are in the future. So we do our best to do the most. We get the most bang from our buck. We do the most with what we have. And we can always do more.
Hey, oh yeah, Chris.
Yeah. Hi, Elise.
Hey, how are you?
Congrats on the book. Great job. It's really, really fabulous. I was wondering, do the students take advantage of the archives much when they're coming in and, you know?
Well, I mean,
are they curious?
They're serious when they have an assignment. Yes, absolutely. We've worked with classes. Usually it's English classes or history classes and art history classes. So our special collections gets used by the art history folks, our facsimiles. But we have done, I don't have any examples I can throw at you right now. Students doing primary research, any research with primary sources have used our archives. Yeah. And sometimes they'll do kind of a media output. In other words, if they're talking about community, they'll research a building on campus, and they'll look in the archives, and then they'll interview people who are working there today, and they'll try to do a sort of then and now, and they do a composite like an Adobe Spark page, and we definitely do that kind of work. So they become interested in surprising ways. I think it surprises them how much the campus has changed, and they're also surprised, I think, to find out some of the history, things. We tell them that they closed the school in 1970 for a strike. They are very surprised to hear that. This is a silly example, but I love showing them it's a ceramic dish with a little indentation with the university seal on it. And I love to show this to students and see if they can figure out what it is. And of course, most of them don't know. Everybody else here will probably know that it was an ashtray, but they're surprised to see pictures of people smoking in the library. There's interest that's generated, but it's usually through their assignments, I think.
Good. Thank you.
Sure.
Lisa?
Chime in. Hi, guys. I'm a librarian, so I work with Elise and Jen and Christina. That we've also recently noticed some student clubs coming forward, excited to see what we have, or realizing that they have the agency to make sure we're preserving what they're doing now, and maybe they're giving us materials, or they're starting to think about how they have a role in preserving the student life that their club is interested in. And Jen and Elise worked with the Black Student Union, I think it was last year, on an exhibit where an art history student got the curatorial experience of going through the archives and picking content, writing labels, putting, an exhibit together, and I think also collecting materials from past club presidents and things like that. So that's a really fun way that we're seeing the students as well as the classes, like Elise said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Elise, Stephanie has a question about Father McDonald's models of math formulas. I don't know if you have any information about that.
Actually, it's Stefan, and I was class of 77, and Father McDonald was one of my math teachers, I believe, sophomore year, and he would do these string sculptures of how a formula would work out. They were stunning what he did. So I don't know where they went to.
I know for years they were hanging in Bannow Science Center. I think they might still be there.
Oh, wow. I haven't been in Banau in a while. I spent many a day in the basement of Banau with the computer room back when it was a digital, way old machines. Well, way old today, but they were the latest back then.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I know, I think they were in the atrium of Banau Science Center, and they're probably still there, but I will go check now.
I'm glad they're not lost. And if they ever want to move them, please remember to scoop them up.
You bet.
Thomas is wondering where he can find Success on the Sound. Do we have any information on where he could get his hands
Yes,
on that?
it's a little tricky. It's not tricky. They don't. They seem to not want to send them online, so you can't really purchase them online. So they're available in two places. They're available in our downtown Fairfield store on the Post Road, and they're also available on campus in the Spirit Shop. And I know they are selling, but you have to come in person. If you really get hard up, I suppose we can make arrangements. It's just we wanted this to be something special to begin with, so we only have a print copy. It's not available as an electronic or digital download yet. So that's where it's available. And it's very heavy. So, it's 500 pages, just warning you. We got very verbose.
Another question. Do you have a copy of all the alumni directories? Because I actually have class of 88 for some reason. I was class of 77. And also Chronicles of Fairfield 42 to 92.
Right. We do have some alumni directories. I'm not sure if we have those particular ones. I know we have some in the archives. As far as Chronicles of Fairfield, we definitely have those. Those were the pamphlets that were published in 1992 to celebrate our 50th anniversary. Those are also up online. So we're good on that. About the alumni directories, I'd have to check,
Well,
we might not have.
I can drop it off at the alumni office at some point.
I say yes.
Okay.
I'd rather say yes. I don't want to miss good stuff. So yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Duplicates are always good.
Yes. Or as they say, lots of copies keep stuff safe. Yes.
Scott, I just had a quick question, and that is, I never got to did they record that open house for that Success on the Sound? I never made it to the event.
I know they recorded a podcast
Okay.
that I think is available. And that's pretty good. I know that's up online. If you send us an email, I could forward that link to you.
Yeah, and it would have similar stuff about.
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be good.
Oh, thank you for asking. Sure.
Because they could always do updated. They could always do another program, but they just wanted to do just the one, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris has a question. How did Lucas get his name? I know you touched on that, but maybe you want to just go talk about Lucas a little more.
Well, this is the story that was handed to me. Lucas didn't have a name for a long time. It was just the stag. And you saw some of the pictures, a lot of fun pictures of our mascot. My understanding is that it was probably Mr. Fairfield himself, Jim Fitzpatrick, who might have suggested William J. Lucas, who was head of finance for decades, for years. I mean, he came up through the ranks he was a Fairfield alum, I believe, class of 69, I think. And he was a huge supporter of the Stags. And it was suggested that we name our mascot Lucas in his honor. And we do, and we have, and he's been Lucas ever since, and it just seems to fit. So that's what I know about that.
Okay, and John is asking if there is any chance you have PDFs of the books the freshmen received upon arrival. I think that's probably the face books.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we do. The Field, I think it was called at one point, the freshman Facebooks. Yeah, early Facebook in print versions. We do. We have a very nice collection of those. They're not digitized. We do have a finding aid, though, up. If you go to the University Archives and Special Collections page up on Digital Commons at Fairfield and look in our finding aid collection. And for those of you um, who are used to maybe using the card catalog or used to using online access, a finding aid is the archive's way of cataloging the boxes of information that I saw. It's a way to access our physical collections. So we do have a finding aid that tells you which Fairfield Facebooks we have. To access that, then you would have to make an appointment with me, and I would make them available to you, or maybe we could arrange something else. But that's how we make the physical collections accessible. Yes, we do have a collection of those.
Okay. And maybe one more question. We've had a couple questions about people who have boxes of photos and programs, especially from the early days, the 50s. Any interest in that type of thing? What should people do if they have those?
Send them to me. Just, I mean, this is the important thing, though. I mean, if something's precious to you, obviously hold on to it. But if you're looking at stuff and you think this is related to Fairfield University, that's really what we're interested in. Don't ever think this isn't going to be important to somebody. It is definitely important to us. These, especially the print materials, which once they disappear, we'll never get them back. We'll never see them again. So I would prefer if you can find the time and to put them in a box and send them to us. I would much rather you do that. Also, I'll just mention, because any information you send with them too is really, really helpful. It's hard when you have unidentified photos and you don't know whose they are or what year they are. We have some of that in the archives, and it's information that's lost. So the kinds of things that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the photographs and, I don't know, a syllabi, things like that. Anything from the early days related to that list are things we would definitely be interested in. And the worst that would happen is if you send it and it turns out we have lots of copies, we'll probably discard it. No harm, no foul. I would much rather you send me, especially, pictures from, I don't know, from your college days or memorabilia. There's no other way we would get it except donations from alums. So they're greatly appreciated and they would have a home here.
Okay. I think we have a few more minutes here. If anyone has any more questions, we are going to do a follow-up email to everyone that was interested and that registered, which will include the recording, and we'll have links obviously to the Digital Commons and some other information. And if you have questions there, you certainly can put those in your reply and send it back to us, and Elise will do her best to dig around and get the answers for you.
Sorry. Question, you showed like the official publications, but I remember during my years, there was like a broadside printed off of mimeograph machine. There was a TV show, I think it was called Mary Hartman, and we did Mary Fairfield. Yeah. And it was printed for at least a year or two, and it was just, timely information. I wondered if you ended up with any of those copies.
Offhand, I'd have to say no. I haven't seen those in my travels through our collections.
It would be the late 70s. It would be like 75, 76, 77.
I remember the show, although I was it was on at 10 o'clock, I think. That was a little late for me, past my bedtime.
We were college students. It was middle of the day.
There you go. You had all the fun. I don't think we do have those. It's those kinds of things that I would love somebody to send us, especially anything. Go ahead.
There were underground pieces like that in 68 and 69 called Whenever Possible. and they were handed out, slid under the door in the middle of the night. But it was very, let me put it this way, anti-administration.
Well, it may be tough, I think, to go through things like that at the time, but in retrospect, those are sometimes the most interesting things and the most revealing. So
I may have some of them, as a matter of fact.
Bring it on.
Wonderful. Well, we're getting close to time. I want to pass it back to Christina she has a few things to wrap us up, but this has been so great. And thank you to Elise and everybody with questions. So great to hear the stories.
Yeah, this is very fun. As librarians, I could stay out all night. So thank you so much for spending your time with us this evening and showing such interest in the University Archives and the Domena Nicilius Library. I thank Elise for her engaging program, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the evening. So good night, everyone. Take care. Thank you.